Okay, so we're going to read a little bit from All Things Violent. Somewhere in the middle. Seems like a good place, a part that I don't normally read from. So here's fun. I guess it's chapter 14. It's chapter 14. So Simon called to tell me that my father was sitting in his office and could I please come and collect him? So I did. I took the long way though, hoping my hands would stop shaking before I got there, all the while thinking, what if it's not him? How could Simon be sure? He'd only seen my father once in pictures during the visit to my mother's house back in the days when our love was new. It had been his idea. We showed up at my mother's house one bright Saturday morning and stayed until Tuesday. She'd loved him on sight, Simon, dressed in his nice suit with his charming ways. He kissed her on both cheeks and hugged her until she squealed. That first night, the neighbors came over, and in her tiny kitchen, Simon played dominoes with them, while my mother cooked a feast appropriate for the first man her daughter ever brought home. I peeled potatoes and carrots until Simon said, I'm losing, baby. Bring me some luck. I slid onto his lap and played his tiles while he kissed my neck and whispered the dirtiest things into my ear. I fell in love with Simon in that kitchen, that last piece in my heart shifting into place. I wondered where he was when he decided he didn't love me anymore. I arrived at the tall, black-windowed bank building where Pritchard Investigations had its new office. A perk of mingling with the right people, Simon said. His new girlfriend had connections with the influential. She was from money. She was tall and blonde and tanned, and I am none of those things. Thus far, I've only seen her twice, once during her office tour when most of the office was still in boxes. She said hello to everyone, but made a point of walking over to me, and we just gazed at each other, smiles firmly in place. What was there to say? Later, my former boyfriend, now just my boss, said, she likes you. It was all I could do not to reach over the desk and punch him. Now, standing in his office while he gave my father a rundown of my life in Vegas, the G-rated version that didn't include the killing I did for him, like this was a parent-teacher conference and I was his most gifted student, I had to resist the urge again. My father looked uncomfortable in the office chair. He didn't look me in the eye, but I looked at him. I looked and looked at him, trying to see me in him. It had been nearly 17 years since I saw him last, nearly 60 now. His hair was still black, with the exception of a little gray around his ears. When he stood, claiming he was tired and he really just wanted to see me and thanks for the tour and it was a pleasure to meet you, he towered over Simon. I had forgotten just how big my father was. All these years I had only dreamed about his back, the sound of his shoes had made on the wooden steps as he made his escape. I had forgotten him as my father. Well, most of me had anyway, but there was still a small part, perhaps in my pinky toe, that housed what was left of the 10-year-old girl I had been, the girl who still adored this man, the girl who thought Joe Park was Superman. So that's a part of it. Hope you like it, and support your local, support Fahrenheit Press.